I spent $8,000 on family Christmas while my kids practiced songs and wrapped gifts, only to be told we weren't welcome, so I walked away. And that's when everything changed. My brother said, "It's getting crowded. Maybe skip this year with the kids." I said, "Of course." Then my daughter saw a TikTok, Christmas karaoke, party hats, champagne, all in my parents' living room. I took a photo of the $8,000 gift stack we wrapped and sent it with a caption, "Donating these. Someone else will enjoy." 30 minutes later, my dad was at my porch, pale. I opened the door and said, "My brother said, it's getting crowded, maybe skip this year with the kids." I said, "Of course." I smiled when I said it, like it was no big deal, like I hadn't already wrapped 12 gifts, like my daughter hadn't been practicing Jingle Bell Rock for the family karaoke, like my son didn't draw a custom holiday card with every cousin's face and a glitter glue star over grandma's head. We stayed home, ate leftover mac and cheese. I told them it was a quiet Christmas this year, just us. I made it sound special. Then, 2 days later, my daughter came into the kitchen holding her phone. "Mom, look," she said. It was a TikTok, not even private, tagged hashtag Christmas chaos with 3 party hats and a champagne emoji. I watched in silence. My parents' living room, red streamers, gold hats, karaoke mic, everyone laughing, everyone except us. I saw my brother leading a toast, my dad handing out sparkling cider, my mom dancing with someone's baby on her hip, every cousin, every friend, even the neighbor's teenager who once broke our window and never apologized. My daughter asked, why didn't they want us there? I didn't answer. I couldn't. Instead, I walked into the living room, picked up the stack of gifts, the ones we wrapped together, labeled, with names, decorated with stickers and hope. I took a photo. The caption read, "Donating these. Someone else will enjoy." 30 minutes later, my dad was at my porch, pale, no jacket, no words. I opened the door and said, "You did say skip this year." And I shut it again, quietly, firmly. They didn't always say it out loud, but the pattern was clear. I was the one who helped. My brother was the one they celebrated. I paid for their groceries last March. Quietly sent $300 when the water heater broke, covered Dad's dental bill, $1,100 they forgot to reimburse, every time. It was just until things settled down. Meanwhile, my brother showed up late to dinner, brought store-bought pie, and got praised like he built the table himself. Last summer, when my car broke down, I didn't ask anyone for help. I took a second freelance project, skipped meals, paid for the repairs myself. 3 weeks later, I saw my brother post a video, my parents surprising him with a new set of tires for his car, their gift. When my daughter made the honor roll, silence. When my nephew passed summer school on the second try, Mom baked a cake. Still, I stayed quiet, told myself they were just distracted, told myself next time. Then came Thanksgiving. I hosted, cleaned my entire apartment, cooked for 14 people, turkey, stuffing, 2 pies. My daughter folded napkins into little fans. My son made place cards. Everyone came. 8 left. Not one person said thank you. Not one. But 2 days later, my mom texted me a screenshot of a Facebook memory from 2014. "Remember when your brother hosted that amazing Thanksgiving? 1 picture, 1 plate of takeout, 0 irony." I stared at it for 5 minutes before replying. "You know I hosted this year, right?" She replied with a thumbs up emoji. That was the moment I felt it, that slow, crawling realization, I'm not family, I'm a resource. The truth was everywhere once I started looking. My brother had never once paid rent when he lived at home until 30. I, on the other hand, sent money even after moving out. When my sister-in-law's birthday came around, they sent flowers and posted tributes. For mine, a happy B-day in the group chat sent at 9:48 p.m., and the kids, they were invisible. My parents loved having grandchildren. They just didn't love my children. When my daughter had pneumonia, no calls. When my son performed at his school concert, I sent a video. My mom replied, "He's cute, but why does he wear those glasses?" That was her only comment. I kept swallowing it until this Christmas. I had spent $8,000 over 4 months. Yes, 8,000, not on nonsense. I wanted this year to be different. I bought custom jackets for every cousin, ordered hand-carved ornaments from Etsy, each one with a name, a date, a small memory engraved. I saved for the karaoke machine, rented a professional one, even paid extra to have it delivered early. I bought champagne, sparkling juice for the kids, a catering order for 25 people paid in full. And the gifts, God, the gifts, books for everyone, personalized, labeled, stacked in perfect littering towers. I even bought my mom a necklace I'd seen her admire through a store window last year. $950. It sparkled like a promise I wanted her to keep. When my brother delivered those words, "It's getting a little crowded. Maybe skip this year with the kids," his tone carried an air of benevolence, as if he were bestowing upon me some kind of mercy, as if I would feel relief rather than rejection, as if I had somehow become a burden that nobody wanted to shoulder anymore. Yet I still responded with my automatic, of course. because that was precisely who I had trained myself to be, the accommodating one, the giver, the one who never questioned or pushed back. But beneath the surface, beneath the practiced smiles and the meticulously folded kitchen towels, I was already beginning to fracture in ways I didn't yet fully comprehend. I methodically canceled the automatic transfer that had been flowing into my parents' account each month, suspended the recurring grocery delivery service I'd been paying for, revoked access to the shared Amazon Prime account. These small acts of rebellion, nearly invisible to the outside world, but they coursed through my veins like liquid fire. These were the first decisions I had made in years without seeking anyone else's approval, tiny but determined steps toward reclaiming agency over my own existence and resources. Then came the final catalyst, that damning TikTok video. My daughter showing me the celebration we had been deliberately excluded from. My son asking with innocent confusion why nobody wanted his carefully crafted drawing this year, the room overflowing with laughter and warmth, while our wrapped gifts sat untouched and forgotten in our living room. That moment crystallized everything. It marked the definitive end of pretending, the end of maybe next time, the end of swallowing my voice for the sake of keeping peace. I hadn't planned to confront them, but the following morning, as I stood before my bedroom mirror, I no longer recognized the woman staring back at me, not in a frightening way, but in a liberating one. There was absolutely nothing left to lose. I carefully braided my daughter's hair, packed snacks for the car ride, and told the children we were simply dropping something off. Something off. "Are we still doing the karaoke?" my daughter asked. I forced a smile. "Not today." We drove in silence. Christmas music played softly on the radio. I turned it off halfway through Silent Night. 3 blocks from my parents' house, I started seeing the cars, 20, maybe more, parked on sidewalks, overflowing onto neighbors' lawns. Someone even had a valet sign stuck in a planter. I parked around the corner, gave the kids headphones and juice boxes, told them I'd be back soon. My daughter said, "If Grandma's mad, I can say sorry." That cracked something inside me. I kissed her forehead and said, "You didn't do anything wrong. Never forget that." Then I walked. The air smelled like cinnamon and roasted meat. I could hear the karaoke machine before I reached the porch. Someone was butchering Last Christmas. I paused, then rang the doorbell. My mom answered, mid-drink in hand. When she saw me, her whole face froze. "Oh, you're here," she said. I didn't speak, just stepped inside. The music kept playing, but every face turned to stare. My brother was by the fireplace, holding a beer. His wife was in the corner, posing for photos with matching sweaters. My dad was pouring cider like it was a state banquet. I stopped in the center of the room. "This party," I said, loud enough for everyone. "I paid for it." Silence. The karaoke, I rented it. The champagne, mine. The catering trays, I prepaid them weeks ago. You know, back when I thought we were all invited. My brother stepped forward, hands raised like I was a bomb. "Look, I didn't mean—" I cut him off. "No, you didn't mean it. You said it was too crowded. You said, maybe skip this year with the kids. You said it like we were clutter." Murmurs rippled through the room. My mom tried to laugh it off. "You're blowing this out of proportion." "Really?" I said. "Then explain why I watched a TikTok of you all singing and dancing while my daughter cried in the kitchen." A neighbor shifted uncomfortably. Someone's kid stopped mid-cookie bite. My dad finally spoke. "You could have called." "I could have," I said, my voice sharper now. "I called for 15 years. I showed up. I paid. I forgave. I stayed silent while you made my children feel unwanted. That ends today." I reached into my purse and pulled out a small velvet bag, my fingers trembling slightly as I held it up for everyone to see. The room had gone completely silent now. Even the background music seemed to fade away. Inside the bag was the $950 necklace, the one I'd seen my mother admire through that store window last year, the one I'd saved for months to afford, working extra freelance hours and skipping my own small luxuries. Along with it was a handwritten card, carefully crafted with my daughter's help, filled with memories and love we'd poured into every word. "This was meant to be your Christmas gift," I said, my voice steady but carrying the weight of years of disappointment. I placed both items deliberately on the coffee table, the velvet bag making a soft thud against the wood that seemed to echo in the stunned silence. My daughter helped me write that card. She spent an entire evening choosing the perfect words, asking me what would make Grandma happiest. I paused, letting that sink in. "You can have them both. Consider this the very last thing you'll ever receive from me." Audible gasps rippled through the crowd. I watched as some guests suddenly found their drinks fascinating, staring into their glasses as if they contained answers. Others studied the floor with newfound intensity, clearly uncomfortable witnessing this family drama unfold. But I wasn't done. Not yet. "I'm finished," I declared, my voice growing stronger with each word. "I'm done paying for people who refuse to see me as anything more than an open wallet. Done pretending this dysfunctional arrangement is a loving family when it's nothing but an elaborate performance with me subsidizing every act. My mother finally stepped forward, her face pale and her voice shaking with what might have been genuine emotion, or perhaps just embarrassment at being called out so publicly. "Please, you don't have to do this here, not like this. We were planning to call you tomorrow, I swear we were." I looked at her with a mixture of sadness and resolve. "But you already had your party, didn't you?" I gestured around the decorated room. "You already toasted with champagne that I paid for. You already sang karaoke on the machine I rented. While you were busy entertaining strangers and distant neighbors, my son was at home asking me why Grandpa didn't want to see the special drawing he made for him." Then I said it. "Check the bank app." I froze the family account. My dad blinked. "The mortgage, not my responsibility," I said. He opened his mouth, but then the door creaked open behind me. My daughter walked in. She must have followed me from the car. She still wore her sparkly dress, her hair done in tiny curls. She held a small paper snowflake she'd made. She saw the crowd, the lights, the untouched karaoke mic and whispered, "Mommy, can we still do the song?" My dad looked at her like she'd appeared out of thin air. I turned to her, gently took her hand. "No, honey, we're going home." We turned to leave, and that would have been the end. But then, from the back of the room, a voice called out, "Wait!" Everyone turned. It was my cousin Daniel, the quiet one who never posts, never speaks. He stepped forward, face pale, holding his phone. "I think you all should see this," he said. On his screen, a screenshot of a group text I wasn't in from 2 weeks ago. "My brother, should we tell her we're still doing it or just let her think it's canceled? His wife, don't. She'll come anyway, just don't respond." My mother agreed. Less drama if she's not involved. Daniel read it out loud, every word. The silence felt like snow, heavy, still. I looked at them all. My brother white as a ghost, my mom trembling, my dad quiet. No one said a word, not even now. I didn't gloat, didn't scream, just said, "You didn't forget me, you erased me, but I remember everything." Then I turned, held my daughter's hand tight, and walked out the front door. This time no one followed. The silence lasted exactly 11 hours and 38 minutes. That's how long it took for the first text to come through. 10:42 a.m., "Mom, we didn't mean it that way." 11:09, "My brother, you're overreacting, you should have just asked." 11:26, "Dad, can we talk?" I didn't respond, not because I was punishing them, but because I finally understood the difference between distance and dignity. They didn't know what to do with that. By noon, the group chat lit up. My brother's wife tried sarcasm, hoped the milkshakes were worth it. Someone else chimed in, "Why humiliate the whole family over one party?" That's when I started taking screenshots. I wasn't emotional. I was building a file. And while they ranted, my kids were curled up on the couch, watching cartoons with party hats still on their heads. My daughter asked, "Are they still mad?" I said, "They're confused, but that's not our fault." She nodded, then said something I'll never forget. It was a better party without them. The next day, a knock on the door. I checked the peephole. My dad, no champagne, no party sweater, just him in a jacket too thin for December, holding a paper bag in his guilt. I opened the door but didn't step aside. He looked tired. "Just these," he said, holding out the bag. Inside, a flashlight keychain for my son, a snow globe with glitter for my daughter, and a card. The handwriting mine, the card we had written and left behind, the one they never opened. He said, "I didn't know they did that." The messages. The TikTok. I didn't ask how much he knew. He added, "I tried to stop them, but I didn't, and that's on me." That part almost broke me because it sounded like the beginning of an apology, but then he said it, "You didn't have to embarrass us." There it was. My jaw clenched. I stared at him, then replied, "You're embarrassed. I'm traumatized." He shifted his weight, looked down at the doormat like it might defend him. I handed the bag back. "Give it to someone who claps for cruelty." He didn't argue. He turned and walked down the steps, one hand still in his pocket, the other empty. That night, the next wave began. My cousin sent me a message. "Your mom says you're freezing the account just to punish them." Then another, "She said you canceled the car too. That's just cruel." I didn't respond, just forwarded every lie to my lawyer because yes, the car was canceled, the account was frozen, the balance was mine again for the first time in years. I wasn't being cruel. I was closing the tap. They could scream, but they'd do it with their own breath now, not mine. The day after Christmas, I got an email from a family friend. Subject, "What happened?" Inside, a screenshot of a Facebook post, my mom smiling beside my brother, holding a coffee mug, captioned, "Grateful for the people who show up. Not just when it's easy." I laughed out loud because there she was, performing again. The family stage, the guilt theater, front row seats for anyone who never questioned her narrative. That's when I made a decision. I replied with a link to the TikTok. No words, just the video, no context. Let the truth speak for itself. She didn't reply, but 3 hours later my aunt messaged me, she's crying, hope you're happy. No, I wasn't happy, but for the first time I was free. Then the escalation. 5 days after the party, my daughter's school called. The receptionist's voice was quiet, hesitant. Your mother stopped by, said she was dropping off something. Asked to see your daughter. My stomach turned. She what? She didn't get past the front desk, but she insisted she had a right, said you were keeping the kids from her. My hands went cold, my chest burned. I thanked the woman, drove straight there and picked up the box they handed me. Inside, the art project my daughter made for her, the mug, the card, everything we had wrapped with care returned like trash. Underneath, a note, stop punishing us. The kids deserve to decide for themselves. That was the final straw. I went home, scanned everything into a file, created a backup, labeled it boundaries. Then I wrote a message. No emotion, no openings. You are not to approach the school again. If you wish to speak, go through my attorney. This is a legal boundary. No reply until 3 hours later. Not from her, from my dad. If you think you can cut us off and keep the grandkids, you've got another thing coming. I read it twice, calmly. Then I took a screenshot, sent it to my lawyer with the subject line, just in case. That night, I lit a candle. Not for them, for me, for the version of myself I was finally releasing. The silent, giving, apologizing shadow who waited for gratitude that never came. I watched the flame dance and whispered one promise. They will never use my kindness as currency again. I was done paying to be invisible. Done paying to be overlooked. Done giving people more access to me than they earned. My kids were sleeping in the next room, warm, safe, loved. That was all I ever wanted and everything they couldn't give. I closed the laptop, shut off the phone, turned down the lights, and in that quiet, I smiled. Not because it was over, but because I had just begun. It didn't end with fireworks, it ended with stillness, a quiet so profound it felt like I could finally hear myself think. 3 weeks after the party, a letter arrived. A real envelope, postmarked, my mother's handwriting across the front. Curled and elegant, like she was still trying to convince the world she was composed. Inside, 4 photographs. One of me, aged 6, asleep on the living room floor with my teddy bear. One of me and my brother in matching Halloween costumes. One of my kids laughing on her porch, summer sun on their cheeks. And the last, a close-up of the wrapped gifts we'd made, the ones I never delivered. On the back, she'd written, we didn't mean for it to end like this, but you chose distance. No apology, just blame. No mention of what they did. No acknowledgement of the betrayal, only a passive-aggressive conclusion. I was the one who broke it. I stared at the photos for a while, then folded them back into the envelope and slid it into the drawer next to the school supply coupons and broken charger cables. That's what their love had become. Another expired thing I didn't want to deal with. New Year's Eve came without incident. The kids danced in socks on the living room rug, holding plastic flutes of apple cider, shouting countdowns 5 minutes too early. I let them because that joy was real. At midnight, I didn't post a single resolution, no manifestos, just 3 whispered promises to myself. No more guilt, no more giving to prove I matter, no more shrinking to fit their script. In January, I found space. Literal space in my bank account where their mortgage used to drain me, emotional space in my head where their judgment used to live rent-free, and physical space in my home where I finally rearranged the living room without thinking. Will Mom like this when she visits? Because she won't. She's not invited anymore, and I don't miss her. I miss the version of her I tried to create, the fantasy, but not the woman who told my children in silence that they weren't enough, not the man who watched and said nothing. Then came the voicemail mid-January from my dad. Your mother isn't doing well. She doesn't sleep. She's depressed. You should come by for the kids at least. As if their pain now belonged to me, as if parenting their emotions was still part of my job. I listened to it once, then archived it. I didn't even tell the kids, because that guilt wasn't theirs to carry, and mine, I'd already buried it. Mid-February brought the next play. A message from my brother's wife. Your mom wants to invite the kids to her birthday brunch. Just the kids. No drama. I stared at it for 5 full minutes, then replied, tell her to have her lawyer call mine. A minute later, she sent a thumbs-up emoji, their favorite weapon, weaponized politeness. But not everyone disappeared. My grandfather, the only one who never asked me for money, called. He said, I saw the TikTok. I froze. He continued, I saw how your daughter looked. I saw how they looked through her. I didn't speak. He said, I changed my will. I just wanted you to know. Your mother won't like it, but she hasn't liked much since you stopped funding her. And for the first time, I cried. Not because of the money, but because someone had finally seen me, not as a giver, not as a burden, not as too much, just as me. I haven't spoken to them since, no birthday cards, no fake holiday texts, no Facebook memories to make me second-guess my decision, but I haven't blocked them either. I want them to see the photos of our family hikes, of my son's birthday party with real laughter and no forced hugs, of my daughter's honor roll award with friends cheering. I want them to scroll through my life and realize they're not missing me. They're missing the chance to become better people. And that chance is gone. I didn't write a final message, no grand speech, no email marked closure. I just stopped replying, stopped explaining myself to people committed to misunderstanding me. That is power. That is peace. My daughter once asked me, will we ever see them again? I said, maybe, but they'll have to find us at a place we've already arrived. She asked what that meant. I told her, they'll have to rise to meet us. We're not lowering ourselves anymore. She smiled, said, good, then went back to drawing hearts on her homework folder. They still send things. A Christmas card in July, an old photo, new passive aggression, a box of dollar store toys with no note, a forwarded email from my cousin asking if I'll let bygones be bygones, but I won't because bygones is how abusers rewrite the script, and I'm no longer part of their play. This is the part where I should say, I forgave them, but I didn't, and that's okay. Forgiveness isn't mandatory when the harm was intentional. I chose healing. That's enough. I chose peace. That's more than enough. I am not the family's therapist, not their wallet, not their scapegoat. I am not their lost daughter. I am my children's whole world, and finally I am my own.